Well, guys, it doesn't seem like this attack on our federal government is going to end anytime soon. I mean, we have Elon Musk and his idiot Muskrats running around and taking an axe to any agency that they can get their hands on. And now we have the Social Security Administration in their crosshairs, and a top official who has been working there for more than 3 decades has been forced out after a confrontation with Doge. These people are reckless, they are stupid, and they have no idea the types of systems they're messing with, how they're supposed to function, and they don't even know what type of fraud to be looking for when they claim to be rooting out the fraud, waste, and abuse. So let's go ahead and take a look at what exactly is going on in the Social Security Administration, and then we will take a look at how efficient it actually is and what type of fraud we already know exists here. So let's go and watch this clip, and if you do appreciate the work I do, please do remember to subscribe.
This morning, a top official at the Social Security Administration steps down after clashing with the Department of Government Efficiency over access to personal records, 2 sources told ABC News. ABC News has learned Elon Musk's team requested access to an IRS system that contains the personal information of millions of Americans, including their tax filings and bank statements. Top administration officials insist this does not mean Musk and his team will go through private tax returns of individuals.
I can give absolute 100% insurance. I give you complete and total assurance on that point.
Now, questions are swirling over who actually runs Doge. In a new court filing, the White House clarifies that Elon Musk is not the administrator, but did not say who is. A judge is considering whether to block Doge from firing government employees and accessing data from certain departments. A ruling is expected as soon as today.
So let me get this straight. These people are going into court and they're saying that Elon Musk isn't the administrator of Doge, but then Stephen Miller can go on Fox News and assure us with all certainty that Elon Musk can be trusted. He's not going to be rifling around in your personal data. Why in the world would the American people believe that? What has Elon Musk done to gain our trust? He is accountable to no one. He hasn't been sworn in. We don't even know if he has the proper security clearances. And he's just running around like a madman, laying off tens of thousands of employees, and now he wants to get into the Social Security Administration to do what? These people should not be trusted. This is why it's so important that we have our hiring protocols in the federal government. They do the proper disclosures. People poke and prod their history to see if there's conflicts of interest. But with Elon Musk, there is none of that. So why in the hell would I trust him with my personal data? And then they don't even know what it is that they are actually looking for. Here's Caroline Levitt giving us a hint as to what they expect to find in the Social Security Administration.
I want to set the record straight on your show tonight, Sean, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to do so. President Trump has directed Elon Musk and the Doge team to identify fraud at the Social Security Administration. They haven't dug into the books yet, but they suspect that there are tens of millions of deceased people who are receiving fraudulent Social Security payments. And so their goal in going into the Social Security Administration is to identify 3 things. Number 1, to identify duplicate payments and to end them. Number 2, to identify payments that are going to deceased people who are no longer living and should no longer be receiving that money. And number 3, to protect the integrity of this system for hardworking Americans who have been paying into it their entire lives. So rest assured to all of the people watching your show tonight, if you paid into the system honestly, you will continue to receive your Social Security tax.
These people are despicable. Did you catch what she did there? Well, we haven't gone through the books yet, but we expect to find tens of millions of people who are deceased and have been receiving fraudulent payments. Are you kidding me? You haven't gone through the books yet. You have no evidence, but this is what this administration does. They tote all of these hyperbolic conspiracies. They don't present a shred of evidence to claim or to show that it's true, and then they run with it. And they make the American or help the American people buy in to their fabricated story. Because of course, the American people are interested in rooting out fraud, waste, and abuse in our government. Anybody can get behind that mission. And these people are making it sound like they are the only ones who have ever thought of this. But that is just not the case. We have systems and protocols in place to root out fraud, waste, and abuse. And the Trump administration is not doing anything different, and in fact is probably less efficient than our currently established systems. We already know that the Social Security Administration has less than 1% of fraud that is identified. I mean, let's just go ahead and take a look at this clip.
Is that they're doing this to root out fraud. That's the reason that they're throwing out there. But there is an Inspector General report from 2023 that says improper payments are less than 1% of payouts. Internal estimates put it at about $72 billion over 8 years, so about $9 billion a year. It's significant, but it's actually a small percentage. Is that
Correct.
the real fraud? Like, what are they chasing here?
I don't know exactly what they're chasing. You know, when I was commissioner, we would gather the deputy commissioners around the same table, and every 2 weeks on an agile basis, we would look at what the biggest threats of fraud were and how we can deter, prevent, get in the way of that fraud.
So that was Martin O'Malley. He used to be the Social Security Administrator. And he knows how these systems are supposed to function, what type of fraud has already been identified and exists in the system. And we have different protocols and different ways that we go about rooting that stuff out. But the Trump administration wants you to believe that there are tens of millions of dead people who are fraudulently receiving payments so they can rile up the American people, so they can rile up their base. They are rage baiting. They are using hyperbolic language and absurdist claims in hopes that the American people will just jump on board with their insane plans. I mean, just listen to Martin O'Malley describe how there are already audits every year with the Social Security Administration. And guess what? They do a fine job each year.
In fact, unlike the Department of Defense, year in and year out, Social Security gets a clean audit from, this year, last year, I think it was Ernst & Young who was hired to do the audit. And every year they receive the SEER award from the Association of Government Accountants because of their openness, their transparency, their clarity of their reporting.
So not only is there audits every year, but they often win awards because they are so transparent, because they are so clarifying to the investigators, and because they report things well. The Trump administration wants you to believe that they are the only people who have ever thought about rooting out this waste, fraud, and abuse. But we have systems in place to identify it. We have systems in place to go after it, and it accounts for 0.84% of what is actually distributed. We are talking peanuts in the grand scheme of things. Now, would it be great if we could get that number down to zero? Of course. But that is just not the world we live in. And to act like there aren't systems and protocols in place to try to address these issues is just foolish. And then they use this hyperbolic language to get people on board with the destruction of our government. It is absolutely despicable. And let's go ahead and listen to Lawrence here, where he's talking about how the Social Security Administration is already one of the most efficient agencies probably in the world, considering how many employees versus what is paid out and the number of people that are actually taking from this system.
58,000 people work at Social Security. Only 58,000 people. That is a hyper-efficient agency. That is approximately one worker at Social Security for each million people who receive benefits from Social Security. That means that those 58,000 people are also processing and crediting the tax payments of 170 million workers every week in this country. There is no entity in the history of private enterprise that is as efficient as the Social Security Administration with its 58,000 employees.
Isn't that crazy? 58,000 employees run an agency as huge as the Social Security Administration. It pays out, what, trillions of dollars on an annual basis? It serves more than, what, 60 million people on their rolls? I mean, it is quite a feat. And the Republicans have been attacking it for decades. They have been underfunding it. So that employee count has just been dwindling and dwindling and dwindling. And so it is quite impressive that the amount of fraud is less than 1%. And if the Trump administration was actually serious about rooting out this fraud, waste, and abuse, why would he be firing all of the inspectors generals? All over the federal government, this is what he's doing. These are supposed to be the independent watchdogs that can call BS on any wrongdoing by a federal worker. Donald Trump is getting rid of all of them. And then he is sending in this unelected billionaire who's going to have access to all of this personal data so they could supposedly cut out all this fraud that doesn't even exist. They are just lying to you. And so many people depend on Social Security. It is, what, the greatest program invented by our government? There are countless old folks who depend on this as their single source of income. And so to go in there and start laying people off, having top officials step down from their post because the Doge assholes didn't get their way. I mean, it's just wild. Listen to Martin O'Malley describe just how fragile this agency is and what a shame it would be if there was any more destruction to it.
Anybody who depends on Social Security, and there are many, I mean, half of all seniors living alone depend entirely on Social Security. So these guys are men and women from Doge. I think they have no idea of how fragile this agency is. I mean, Social Security today serves more customers, active beneficiaries than ever because of baby boomers like me now being in the ranks of the retired. And yet, because of House Republican cuts, they are doing so with staffing that's already been reduced to a 50-year low. So the biggest threat to Social Security right now is that the co-presidents, Elon Musk and Donald Trump, drive 10,000 people out of the agency, and those benefit checks get interrupted. That's the greatest threat to Social Security now. The other stuff they spew out there about zombies getting checks and 200 million dead Americans getting checks, all total horse hockey. Not true. But what is true is that they can crater this agency. They can do it very quickly, and they have likely no idea how fragile this already depleted and overworked agency is. They're about to find out, though.
There.
Yeah, he's exactly right. And I think the most frustrating thing about this whole thing is that Elon Musk isn't somebody who would ever need to rely on Social Security. He's a billionaire who has built his wealth off the backs of the American people and its laws and its regulatory systems. And now he is going in there like a wrecking ball, and he is going to destroy people's lives. The unelected billionaire taking away money or possibly disrupting payments for what? Why is the Trump administration lying to you? Why do they want you to believe that there are tens of millions of dead people who are supposedly receiving payment? Why is it that they are trying to sell that lie to you? It's because they want you on board with their destruction of the government, and they're going to use hyperbolic conspiracies that people can rally behind to get people mad and to get them on board. That is what this is about. These systems are important. These agencies are important. And Donald Trump ran on not touching Social Security and Medicare. But what are they doing now? Every single thing they say to you is a lie. You cannot trust these people. They are trying to destroy the government from the inside out, and they are willing to hurt the American people to get the job done. And if that doesn't frighten you, I don't know what to say. I currently maybe not currently, but I liked the America that I grew up in. I liked that we had the Social Security Administration that doled out benefits to people who have paid in their whole life. And now the Trump administration is coming in like a wrecking ball and trying to tear it all down. That's just not acceptable, and these people are absolutely despicable. So I will leave it there for now. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We have to build something here on the left that can adequately push back against this right-wing media ecosystem that pretty much just shovels Trump shit every day, provide no pushback at all against the destruction of our government. So if you do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe. If you want to see how MAGA lunatics are now arguing that Trump, well, he should just be able to be a king, go ahead and watch that video on the screen now. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.